All right, welcome to the SnydeReport. I am your host, Gary Snyder. With me tonight is Dr. Terry Goodin. Dr.
Yeah,
Goodin, how are you tonight?
you know what? I'm doing great, Gary. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here tonight. And I think you said it best. We had a fake fall, right?
We
We're back
did.
to summertime now.
No,
So
no fire tonight.
what about the doggy? Where's the doggy at?
She only likes the fire.
Oh,
So
okay.
she's old. She's 8 years old. So if we have a fire, she'll come. Now, if I can get my wife, well, he's probably in his crate. We got a new puppy
Oh, wow.
on last Friday. We
Really?
went and picked him up. So
A Great
yes, we
Dane?
have a black Great Dane puppy. He
Oh,
is now
wow.
about 9 weeks old. So how do you put this? You ever see any of the Jurassic Park movies?
That a long time ago.
And all the raptors where they're just kind of always opening their mouths and trying to
Mhm.
bite things? That's him right now. Yeah, he is his name is Ozzy.
Ozzy.
He's all black.
Right.
We did get him a little black bat stuffed animal.
Has he chewed the head off of it yet?
So we'll be posting pictures.
Right.
So that's our news. So he's in his crate now. Great Danes are very they do things in spurts. So he'll get up and for about an hour he's just hell on legs.
Oh, yeah.
Running, jumping, biting, anything he can. I mean, he literally will grab the flip-flop off of my foot and run away with it.
Is that right?
So, and chasing down. The only thing he's afraid of right now is our cat, because he wasn't in the house more than, I would say, no more than an hour. And he met one of our cats, and all I heard was, "Arr, arr,
Oh, he got the scratch across the nose, huh?
arr." He did.
Oh,
So,
my.
so
Yeah.
now our older Great Dane, the one that you would normally see back there if we had a fire, she's not having any of that. She puts up with him, but if he
Right.
gets too close or she'll growl or bark at him. And
It's her pad, man.
it
You know?
is. I mean, she's
Yeah.
8 years old, and she's a sweet girl, but she likes being.
She's
She
the
doesn't
boss.
like puppies.
Right. She's the boss, right? That's fun.
And our other dog, the Samoyed, he likes to play with him, but I think he's a little too much energy for him right now after so many. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Not really.
Are you the one that's potty trained him, or does
Yeah.
that the
Now
pepper?
I am, because, my day job, I work remotely
Right.
most of the time when I'm not, I do travel a lot over the summers, but I work remotely when I'm not traveling. So it is me. Now he does really good at that, and he
Okay.
has from the start. Very few incidents. He'll go outside. Now, the biggest problem I have is he'll run around outside for a little bit, and I have this out in front of our house. We have this nice black slate rock that we put down instead of mulch, and he thinks that's where he needs to shit all the time. And
Well, he listens, and I told him that's where he needed to go.
and it's kind of hard to clean that out of the rocks.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get the rocks out of there because those things weren't cheap.
Right. Yeah, and you don't want to spray down with a water hose because that just fertilizes everything, right? And
Yeah.
everything grow up in it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the only problem so far. But other than that, he's doing really good in that aspect. And we've had no trouble really with any of the dogs potty training them.
Is that
Now, Watson, when he was a puppy, my sister-in-law taught him, potty trained him, and he would go and we had bells on the door, and he would go hit him when he needed to go
wow.
out.
Right.
Now he's so
cool.
big he kept breaking the bells.
Right.
So
So
he would go to the door and he would just hit it, and it's almost as loud as the bells because he was a 160-pound dog.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So,
He weighs more than you do, Gary.
no, I wish. Yeah, I worked on this.
Right.
Well,
Wow.
well,
Kid.
I thought we'd have you on tonight, and then I'm thinking to myself, man, there's just nothing to talk about. There's no news at all.
Yeah, I tell you, it seems to just kind of like come in flashes, right?
It does, and I know there's the death of Charlie Kirk out there, and we might touch on that a little bit later. And a lot's being said out there. There's a lot of hatred coming from the right. I've been called names today on Twitter simply because I didn't put out a statement. My statement is, I didn't like the guy. I didn't like what he stood for. I didn't like what he had to say, but I didn't want to see him die. And
Yeah.
anyone that did or does, you need help.
Yeah, I agree with you. Anybody that wishes that upon someone, it just they're got a few screws loose, man.
Yeah. So, but we'll talk about that in a little bit with my op-ed today, my inside take. But we brought you on tonight because you had an editorial out today that we put out as a separate email today, simply because I thought it was that good. Not really. I just forgot to put it in this morning. But why don't you go ahead and talk about it? Because I had to do, and you didn't make the title, I did. And I called it Hoosiers pay, Republicans pay, $250,000 gerrymander grab. Right. So go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Well, really, Gary, I think as we're starting to move forward here, it looks like the special session may become more and more a reality, right? And so I served in the legislature and as the minority leader, and as we talk about that and the political side of that is the very fact that if you want to get people to vote for you, then I guess you should probably
not suck at your job.
Yeah, not so as your son, as Gary Jr. said, right. Suck at your job, right? So, but if you do that and you're arrogant and you think that no matter what that you should be in that office and you're going to make sure that you stay there, then you gerrymander the maps, right? And you go in and you cheat and you rig the system, okay? Mm-hmm. And when we were growing up, Gary, if you got caught cheating in anything, if you was in school, you got sent to the principal's office, right? So you didn't want to go. You don't want to get caught cheating, right? And cheating's wrong. So, but that's exactly what gerrymandering is, man. And those folks, if we want to put this in a sports context, is a simple fact that gerrymandering is just like this. You've got a race, and let's say it's a 400 meter. That's one time around the track. Well, in a gerrymandered district, what we've got is we've got the Republican now starting at the 200-yard line and the Democrats starting at the regular start line, and then they're finishing at the 400-meter line, right? So it's just that big of a head start. And with the technology that we have today, Gary, 40 years ago, they gerrymandered towns and townships, and counties. And then a little bit later, they started gerrymandering smaller areas and census blocks. The last census that we had and the last gerrymander that they did, they gerrymandered all the way to the doorstep, man. They can tell from doorstep to doorstep, from house number to house number, how people vote. And if you look at those maps, they're absolutely ridiculous the way they're drawn. And it's an absolute travesty. And it's time people wake up to that. And it's time we start fighting back, Gary. And, we can talk about it all we want. We can sit around the campfire and sing Kumbaya and hold hands, but that's not going to get the job done, man. It's time to step up. It's time to start fighting, and it's time to start supporting those people in those blue states that have the same opportunities to be able to do. And I think Gavin Newsom said it best, man. He said, look, Texas, you started this. Mm-hmm. Republicans, you started this. If you wouldn't have done in Texas what you did, we wouldn't be doing this in these blue states, and it wouldn't be riled up in these blue states and going to do what we're going to do. So, hey, FAFO, right? So that's I guess right. That's the way it works out.
Two things I want to touch on there. Number one, when I ran track, it was 440 yards right. instead of 400 meters.
Right.
And number two, you don't want to be sent to the principal's office because I still have a quarter imprinted on my ass from having to go to the principal's office.
Oh, my. Well, you know what? Probably you and I both, Gary, probably don't want to start counting how many times we both got paddled,
They tell you to empty your pockets, and, man, I left that quarter in and smack.
Well, That's probably helped you out when you got into the military, though, right? You had a tattoo, right? So who
Right
better
there on my ass.
there,
George
right?
Washington, isn't it?
Right, yeah. So yeah, you're right, Gary. It's just too bad because as we move forward, let's make this thing fair and equal. I hear about the other side, and they talk about, oh, we want to make sure that elections are transparent, they're fair. We want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to vote. Bullshit.
They don't.
They
No.
don't. They're lying. They do everything they can to prevent people from voting. And because they know if they get people out to vote, they know they're going to lose. And it's just too bad. And it's time people wake up to that fact. And, Indiana, Gary, let's just take a look at this, man. The last 20 years, Indiana's been controlled by the Democrats, and we've taken a downhill spiral. It's been a complete
Republicans. Don't blame Democrats for this.
No, I'm sorry. I said we. It's the Republicans have been in charge, and it's been a complete downhill spiral, man. It's been a nosedive, and we're last in quality of life. Basically, we're last in the opportunity to get a good job. We're last in environmental. I mean, is there anything?
Infant mortality that is almost as bad as a lot of third world nations.
Yeah,
you can go down the line. As our good friend Justin Oakley says, we are first at the worst.
First at the worst. Justin said it best, man. And I mean, you just continue to go down that list of the things that Indiana, we used to make fun of states like, I'm going to throw this out. Kentucky and Mississippi, the West Virginias and all those folks. It's like, they always ended up in all these things we're talking about here that are bad. They were always the ones that seemed to be first to the worst, right?
We're them with corn.
Yeah. Yeah. And now we're there. And people across the United States is making fun of Hoosiers. And it's like, where does this stop, And I don't know. It's almost like misery loves company. And it's as we move forward, we got to make sure that we rise Indiana above this fray and this mess. And I tell you what, the Republicans have made a mess of this state in the last 20 years. And it's time to try to figure out how do we climb out of this and how do we get things going in the right direction.
Derry, can you hold through a break? And when we come back, I want to get into the other aspect of your op-ed today.
Absolutely, Gary. Thank you.
You're listening to the Snyder Report. I'm your host, Gary Snyder. We'll be right back.
Fort Wayne's National Award-winning Top Haunt to open now through the first weekend of November with Blackout the last weekend, but you will save time and money buying the RSVP timed tickets online. Hysterium.com.
All right, this is the part of the Snyder Report where we thank our sponsors, and we have a growing list. So let's start with Robin Winston. Robin has been there when we first sent out our first email, 147 subscribers. We're now over 108,000. So thank you, Robin Winston, and helping us get the podcast going in the right direction. Next up is our good friend, former Congresswoman Jill Long Thompson. Her book, Across the Aisle, Why Bipartisanship Works for America. Get that anywhere you buy your books. Also, former two-term governor, two-term U.S. Senator Evan Bayh. Evan has been a sponsor of the newsletter, now jumps on board with the podcast. Congressman Andre Carson. Congressman Carson has been there from the start. We're glad to have him over here on the newsletter now. He needs your help to win re-election next year. So make sure you support Congressman Carson. Next up, State Representative Cherish Pryor. Cherish has been there from the start on the newsletter, joining us on the podcast now. So is State Senator Greg Taylor. I want to thank Senator Taylor for all of his support through the years. Next, we have a couple of new sponsors. First up is Indiana Citizen. You want to check out their new project, One Heartbeat Away. Do Christian nationalists have an agenda for Indiana? All you have to do is look at the lieutenant governorship, and you can see right away that they do. So thank you, Indiana citizen. Next up is Jump Laundry. You can visit them at jumplaundry.com. They have home pickup. They do your dry cleaning, wash and fold with, I might add, no judgments, and next day service. So if you're in a crunch for time, you don't want to do your own laundry, get a hold of Jump Laundry at jumplaundry.com or at 317-740-5011, and they will take care of all of your laundry needs.
Washington politicians came to Indiana to get us to cheat and redraw our legislative maps. They want you to spend millions so they can rig the system and silence your voice. Hoosiers play fair. We don't need their meddling. We need our elected officials focusing on what we need most, making our lives better, lowering taxes, and bringing down the cost of energy and groceries. So tell your legislators, don't let Washington insiders rig our elections. Solve real problems and earn our votes.
Welcome back to the Snyder Report. I'm your host, Gary Snyder. With me tonight is Dr. Terry Goodin. We're talking about his editorial that ran in the Snyder Report. It's online. If you're one of the 100 and almost 10,000 people that get the Snyder Report, you got a separate email today with his op-ed in it. Terry, one of the aspects that I think is being missed here, and you kind of touched on it, and it was in the title that I mentioned it at the beginning, for everything that's wrong with this redistricting that they want to do. One aspect that doesn't get talked about is what it's going to cost.
Right.
You know, I think you used the $250,000.
And that was
that could almost pay that would pay for a whole nother helipad for Mike Braun at his house.
Well,
that would buy 2.5 luxury SUVs for Diego and Micah. And you can go down the line what that would pay for. And I'm being a little facetious there, but in real terms, that's food that could go to hungry families. That's health care. That's child care that's being very limited right now.
Well, I tell you what, Gary, it's really frustrating because as a school superintendent, as I look at, as I get the news that they're canceling summer feeding programs for children who get the proper nutrition, they're cutting preschool to those children who need it the most, and all of these things that they're cutting that are the social safety net and programs that help people move forward, and then all of a sudden, they cut those programs because they say they have no money, right? They say the budget's tight, we have no money. Then all of a sudden they turn around and say, well, by the way, we're going to have a special session and we're going to redistrict the congressional seats because Donald Trump needs a couple more seats in Indiana as a red state.
It's not going to help him. It's not going to help him.
We can finagle the districts around to try to figure out how we can get 2 more seats. You know what? Good luck with that. But the big deal is this. It's going to cost at least $250,000, Gary, at least. That was a very conservative estimate as you look at that. They're going to bring these legislators back. They're going to bring all these folks back to the State House. It's going to be a jungle. It's going to be nothing but arguing and fighting. And the whole situation and the whole scenario that takes place here at the end of the day is there are people in the state of Indiana, Gary, that are suffering. And we can't find the means to be able to help those who suffer, but we can find the means to help those who want to continue to be political in nature and those who want to continue to stay in a seat in power.
And, you know, I almost went a little viral the other day because I said, you know, I can't make my damn hamburger helper anymore for less than $10.
You know what? It's one of those deals where, as when I went out and spoke, I always talked about, you know, that's one of the phrases that I always use when I would talk to people is I said, hey, the Democrats have put the hamburger back in the helper, right? You can't even do that anymore. You're exactly right, Gary. And it don't make sense. And how in the world can anybody stand up there and any of those legislators stand up there and agree that they need to come back for a session when they know that people are hungry and people are starving and people need work? It makes no sense to me at all. There's no human empathy there, and there's just no common sense whatsoever. It's political prostitution, Gary, and I said that earlier. And they're selling themselves out as politicians to the highest bidder, and the highest bidder right now is Donald Trump, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost, you know, I had a story in the SnydeReport this morning that Jim Banks wants to introduce legislation to help hospitals that are being affected by the same damn law that he voted for that's gutting these hospitals.
Well,
It's kind of like the arsonist is also the firefighter.
Well, it's one of those deals, Gary, where you think about this, man. If you create a problem, then you got to fix it, right? So all of a sudden, Jim Banks looks like superhero because he's going to come in and fix this major problem that they created with the hospital situation, right? And it's one of those deals where, think about this, man. They gave billionaires, not even millionaires, okay? Billionaires tax breaks. Guys like Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, if he was still in the community,
if he was still a pedophile out there raping little girls, he would get a tax break.
He would be the one that would get this, and they're raising people's working families' taxes in order to give tax cuts to the billionaires. What in the world, man? I had an old friend that I grew up with, and every time something goofy would happen, he'd always say, "What in the world?" And that's what I'm saying. What in the world, man? What in the world? I mean, Donald Trump wants to give tax cuts to billionaires, but he won't fund the Ukrainian army who's over there now holding off the Russian army. He had to dibble dabble around over there like he was, going to solve this problem in a day. And he's caused the prolonging of the war. That war would be much closer to being over if he would have supported the Ukrainians like Biden and the Democrats did. We would be much closer to the end of that. He makes a mess. He tries to fix it. And unfortunately, he's become the laughing stock of the international community.
Yeah, I would just ask our listeners, all three of them or however many there are, there's probably more now, $250,000, that most of that money, all that money is going to the actual legislators because they are being paid to come down for this special session. So this is money in their pocket. They're making extra cash. Think about what that would buy for your family.
Right.
I mean, let's just skip the $250,000. What would $25 do for you?
Right.
Get you some gas to get to work.
Right.
What would $250 do for you?
Right.
What would $2,500 do for you? That's what a lot of people make in a month.
You know what, Gary? That working man or woman that has to stop to the gas station, they can't fill their vehicle up because they don't have enough money to fill their vehicle up. They can only fill it halfway so they can get back and forth to work, or they can take their kids back and forth to football practice or whatever. Those are the people that are struggling and are hurting. And you're exactly right, Gary. It's a slap in their face.
And now those damn Krispy Kremes are $3 a donut now. Damn it.
Right. So I don't know, Gary, you're right. The people that are going to benefit for them are the 150 legislators or those whoever gets the paycheck, right? But it's one of those deals where when are we going to start thinking about working families, man? Those people who just work every day, they go to work, they were dependent on the child
care subsidies.
Yeah, they depend on all that so they can go to work, right? Because they can't afford child care. And in most communities, there's no child care available. So you've got the preschool situation working where these single parents go to work. And now what are they going to do?
Healthcare waiting list, nursing home waiting list. If you got a disabled parent or a disabled child, waiting list. So I mean, it's awfully cruel, and I think it's meant to be cruel, and they know it's cruel.
Darwinism. It's social Darwinism. Whoever
socialize the losses, but privatize the profits. Boom.
Absolutely, and there's nothing moral or ethical about the programming that's been implemented by the Republican Party in the last decade. Nothing. It all works toward feeding more money and putting more money in the pockets of those people who already have it and taking money away from those folks who struggle every single day just to feed their families.
Now, I have no doubt that they're going to do this. I have no doubt there will be a special session. I have no doubt they will have the votes to do it. We did see State Senator Jim Buck come out and say, I ain't voting for that. The maps are fine. But he is literally the exception, not the rule. And then we have our good friend. Then we have Jim Lucas. And this is what I wrote today. And you can tell me how far I'm off. Because initially he's saying, I'm not doing this. I'm voting no. The maps are fine. And then he takes this tragedy yesterday with this MAGA influencer being murdered in front of thousands. It's all over. Most of you have probably seen part of it.
Yeah.
But literally, he takes this tragedy, and I've seen others do this too. I've seen someone who's on the crazy station down in Indy, WIBC, kind of say the same thing. But he says, I am now a rock solid hell yes for redistricting. So he's taking the murder of this guy and using it to justify doing redistricting.
And where's the correlation between Charlie Kirk getting shot and Indiana having a special session to redistrict? I don't understand that. I'm trying to find the correlation between those two, where all of a sudden this becomes a hell yes. It makes no sense.
You know, Jim Lucas, you know, he's built quite a resume. DWI, a handful of outbursts, hateful outbursts, and a highlight reel of what many would call, including myself, racist statements. But apparently that's not enough for him. Now Lucas has decided to use the tragic murder of MAGA influencer Charlie Kirk as a political talking point, posting up on X, as I had just mentioned, that it's made him a rock solid hell yes for redistricting, because nothing screams respectful tribute like exploiting someone's death to justify rigging elections.
Right.
Now, it's almost impressive. I'll give him that. In a depressing way, of course.
Right.
Now, Lucas can turn any situation into an excuse for undermining democracy. Instead of offering compassion or even silence, you know, silence is better a lot of times than opening your big pie hole. He's using grief as a sales pitch for gerrymandering. If weaponizing tragedy to cheerlead partisan map rigging is what passes for leadership in Indiana, and it's starting to look like it is, then this bar isn't just low, it's somewhere underground. And Lucas has lost any of what credibility he has left. Am I too far off?
No, I think you're right on, Gary. And of course, I served with Jim and know Jim, and he's a showboat, man. I mean, he just, anything he thinks he can catch a headline with, he's going to jump on that and go after it. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But the real tragedy is, as you said, we've come to this in our nation where we can't even agree or disagree with people unless they automatically become our enemy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes no sense how we got here. And we know how we got here, right? But what we've got to figure out is this, Gary, of all the hate in the world, we can overcome the hate. We can overcome Indiana being the last on all the lists that you really should be first on. And it's called by electing those people who are real leaders. And you use the term leadership, Gary. And there is no, I witnessed zero leadership at that state house in the last 3 or 4 years, none whatsoever. So that is the real problem, Gary, is we have no leadership at a state house that needs, at the very core at this point in time, needs leadership, and Indiana is void of it. And that's where you're going to see other states that do have true leadership move ahead of us, and that's where we're going to be left behind, and we're going to be continuing to wave from the dock as they pull off and they go on down the road and to prosperity, and we continue to force Hoosiers to live in despair.
You know, and what I'm afraid of is going to happen is that, and you see this with some candidates already, they're going to use this redistricting like people give a rat's ass, because they don't. Yep. It's not going to get one extra vote for a Democrat candidate where I live or where you live. Hopefully the candidates running out there, and I think some of them have, I've had some on that do get it, but there are some that don't. And if they're going to focus on that, a race is going to be called at 6:01 on that Thursday night next November.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Gary. And that's why I said you got to fight fire with fire. Don't let them come out and don't let them talk about the redistricting. Don't let them talk about the congressional seats, because at the end of the day, they can do whatever they want to do. They got the numbers to be able to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So we can't stop them. We can't stop the hate. We can't stop the free fall, because we don't have the ability and the numbers to be able to legally stop that. So what we've got to do is we got to say, hey, listen, here's what they're offering. But here's what we want to do. We want to create better jobs. We want to create an opportunity where your child won't have to leave the state of Indiana to find a good job after they graduate from high school or college. We want to make sure that when you go to work, your child is safe in a school or safe in a child care or child care facility. We want to make sure that at the end of the day, that in Indiana, you can live, work, and raise a family. And right now, you can't do that and not be stressed to the hilt, man.
Well, anything else we need to talk about tonight?
I think, Gary, really, I think what we talk about is, as you know, we talk about the redistricting, and I put that out because I do have experience in that realm, and I want to let people know that this
the cost.
is wrong.
It's the cost. What could that money go for?
Exactly. And, you know, it's really ironic because in the legislature, after each legislative session starts, we always have ethics training. Okay. They have ethics training.
Oh, you're being serious.
I am being serious here. Okay. And this is, you're going to love this, man. We had ethics training. It was right after it was right after the 2011 gerrymandering fiasco
Please put ethics training.
Yes, ethics training. That's what it was called. So we had the attorney up there going through, hey, you know, you're here to serve the people of Indiana, not yourself, yada, yada, yada. And I asked the guy who was leading the training, I said, sir, is gerrymandering an ethical position, or is gerrymandering ethical? And he looked at me, he says, absolutely not. So, but they're continuing to do it. They're openly doing it. They're openly saying they don't give a cat's you know what about ethics because they are the bully. They have the power, and it's the golden rule, Gary. He who has the gold makes the rules, right?
Exactly.
Well, that's going to change because I tell you right now, we got to start spreading that gold to other Hoosiers, and we got to give them the opportunity to lift themselves up. And at some point, they're going to realize that they're falling behind. And when they do, they're going to look for leadership, and the Democrats will offer that leadership to get them dug out of the hole they're in.
Terry, thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
You're listening to the SnydeReport. I am Gary Snyder. He is not. He is Dr. Terry Goodin. This is the SnydeReport, and we are out.